Ladies, gentlemen, and others in chat, welcome to another drawing stream. Hope you had a nice day so far. We'll just dive into it. As tradition dictates, we're going to review our notes, study notes from yesterday. For the ellipsis, we're gonna need. We had some success with drawing at an angle rather than straight up and down. So we're gonna keep at that. Straight and curved lines, it needs to be parallel and equally spaced. More ghosting and slowing down seems to be the trick. Also, still focusing on the sharper curves. For rotated forms, I'm going to continue to use the box matrix, just the same reference that we had yesterday, because why not? For the stack reference, stacking boxes, we have a stack reference here. It's a different one from yesterday, but still irregularly stacked boxes. References, okay. Mannequin, we have our reference. We're just gonna keep practicing. We seem to be on a good track. Studying, making our way through with the having it first a box and then drawing the figure inside. I also had some success by starting with the rib cage and then rib cage, pelvis, and then the head. For the silhouette part, the challenge was with proportion and probably take some time to measure better to avoid proportion issues. The big proportion issue was like the width of the character, like the arm was too thick and so on and so forth. Not so much the height. Oh. Try to be a little bit mindful of that. But okay. So, now that we have a plan, let's go on and do 3 minutes of ellipses. Oh, hang on. Earlier, when I just did some scribbling to sort of like warm up, I did a little experiment using ellipsis. And the experiment was simply basically using a curved line and align the ellipsis around that, because this is like, it's straight, don't get me wrong, but it messes up with my ability to see the illusion of, because you're supposed to get this 3D feel of it. I suspect that is it. So then it makes a little bit more sense, if that, that is. Of course, obviously it is harder. But you kind of have to sort of like think of how you get a much better sense of three-dimensionality on this compared to that. So maybe that could be a solution instead of right. Right. I don't know how it kind of coils. Around in of course now it stops, but that makes more sense. Like this is just I don't know. It's good, but it also I don't know. It feels like something is missing. You know? This is much better. Ghosting, slowing down, and also stopping and holding it at the end point. Alright, this is where you're supposed to stop. Oop. A little too fast there. Mindful lines rather than just not perfect, but again, doesn't have to be. The initial line might have that energy and flow into it, but that was much better. There are still some duds in here and there, but then again, not a machine. So, Some dots here and there, but that's okay. All right. Let's see if we can get this sucker. Right, okay, so we just start. No, it goes the other way. Alright. Yeah, okay. Yeah, good enough. I mean, I think we're just gonna treat that as one because my brush is simply too thick to draw all of those. Lines and it bothers me, but at the same time, I'm gonna like. It's one of those things that I'm like, you know what? Just let it go. Learning to let go is also one of those things. It's like, yeah, just don't worry about it. As long as you get sort of like vaguely kind of the general idea, I suppose it's okay. Yeah, like it's weird. Like it looks so big here and so flat here, but like when you sort of align them, they're kind of like, no, you're not necessarily that far off. No, that's too steep. It's pretty badly off, I'm not gonna lie. It's just deteriorating more and more. Which is, of course, demotivating, but yeah. What can you do? Probably absolutely horrible. Yeah. More accuracy, I guess. I finished it this time around though, but yeah. Again, it could be copied, but this is like it's tough to copy something like that in just 10 minutes and accurately copying it. Going back and forth, course correcting. But yeah, it's just because like you make a small mistake and it sort of impacts everything else. Right, this one is much smaller than that one because like they gradually get smaller because yeah, proportions get more and more out of whack. So, oh well. Um, 10 minutes stacking boxes. do something a little bit do it a little bit different this time, just to mix things up a bit. And do things like this now. Maybe this will be better. There's always this nagging doubt, like, should this one be... Oh my goodness. Should this one be good? Question mark? Or like, should I just plow through and make it bad and just get good over time? How do you get over... But then again, how do you get good over time if each sort of like individual is bad? Because again, in order to sort of quote unquote improve, you need to be able to like course correct every once in a while. Right? Am I cheating now? Course correcting like that? I don't know. That looks correct, and it is correct. That is wrong. That is horribly wrong. Right. It's not even a straight line. I don't even need a straight line, I needed to invert a little bit. Oh, hello. Do stuff in animation? Sorry. Sorry for the late reply. I'm kind of locked in on these boxes here. Thanks for stopping by. That last corner here is terribly bad. How am I? I'm still alive, kicking, making good progress with my comic. I didn't have too much of a busy day at work. It's all good. Nope, that's not what I wanted to do. I would like to move. If I push the right button on my keyboard, then then it will turn out to be okay. Okay. Oh. Stuff in animation. Snowed in? God dang. Well, a coworker of mine came in late for work today because their water froze over. Well, but no snow though. No snow. Just freezing temperatures. Cozy and warm though. You got some hot chocolate going or something? I got my water. Maybe I should clean this a little bit up so it doesn't have so much swishy tails. As much as I like swishy tails, I like. It's not a one-to-one. It's the classic. That one is a little bit off, and that the mistakes I made on this one implants on that one, but. Holy smokes, 4 people on YouTube. What a crowd. Okay. What do we have next? Mannequin. Mannequin. Got that hot chocolate cravings. I don't blame you. I don't blame you. I'm a certified sweet tooth, and hot chocolate is not a bad poison of choice, to be honest. That is some good stuff. Let's see. Mr. Discount Hamlet. We need to put a box around you. Something like this. Wow, that was actually not that bad. But it just needs to be a little bit lower. Book. And then we slide it over here. Collapse you down. Oh, lock that layer. Make a new layer. Hang out with your cat. Oh, right. You had a cat. That's how it is. We're not going to start with the head. Let's see. I'm going to start with the torso. Pelvis. And it looks like the shoulders are going this way, which means that the hips are going this way. And leg. No, no animals for me. I have more than enough to keep my deal with myself. Bloated foot. Leg. Foot. So, there we go. And it looks like the shoulders are going that way. Ah, well, we were supposed to change the pose anyway, so. Alright, and then we get the arm coming out here, elbow. Arm, hand. Arm. Arm. Hand. And ooh. Head. How does that look? Probably not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but a little bit. Okay, the arm is too long. Right, Bone, Tuxedo Cat. Right, now it's all coming back to me. Let's see, we can shrink you down a little bit. Spoon with a strapping tuxedo. Cool, cool, cool. It's all coming back to me now. Let's see. Yeah, cats are cool. Let's see. Ooh. I'll bring it back to, I don't know, a gentleman's 20. Let's see if we can. Well, there isn't really that much action going on. It's kind of like just full on front action with the rib cage here. So there isn't that much going on, but we could tilt it about a little bit like this. And again, kind of just like hips are going a little bit like this way, so we can just, I don't know, have them recede down a little bit. Do some twisting action. Yeah, why not? Twist those hips, dude. Maybe that's a little bit too. Something like that. And then we have arm action. There we go. There's a thumb. The second shoulder. Cylinder. Another cylinder. And hand. Boom. Let's see, can we... curve this one out? curve. And then curve. Keep this one straight out in. And over. That's the foot, heel. Like that. That's a chunky foot. Well, whatever. Something like that. Now what? Not bad. Proportions of legs. How we're doing on time? 2 minutes. Let's see if we can refine this even. Further. Yeah. I think that one is better. Favorite character design? Let's see. Oh, this one is different pose, but it's supposed to change it. I'm not sure if it's balanced though. Favorite character design? I'm not good at this. I'm not good at designing characters. Arguably, it's not exactly my strong suit by any stretch of the imagination. I'm more kind of just drawing from reference. The best I can do is sort of like mishmash some elements of other people's design and sort of stitch them together to create something quote unquote new. But that's about it. And even then, it's not exactly very different. There was I think I mentioned this last time we chatted. There's a guy on DeviantArt called Phil Cho. I really like his or their work, and I took some designs of, like, he had a Power Girl design and he had a Supergirl design, and I kind of just transferred some of the costume design elements from Supergirl over to the Power Girl character, but that's about it. So let's see. Maybe we should just start with the hand this time around, since it's all the way over here. Okay, now we have a steady answer. I think this is not the right angle at all. That is a horrible angle. That's about the right angle. And then I suppose we could go in. Then apparently, okay. We'll measure every single I'm not sure if that is any more efficient. Time efficient than the last one, but anyway. I mean, it kind of looks correct. It goes down a little getting in, and then it sort of curves inwards, but I'm not sure if that is. And it's absolutely freaking horrible. Look at that, chat. That is a disaster if I ever saw one. I kind of fixes it, remedies some of the problem. Yeah, I get what you're saying, but like, and it's definitely, it's definitely something admirable, something to sort of like aspire to, but and it kind of is on my bucket list, for the lack of a better term, but it's just, need to get more comfortable finding a, I don't know, cohesive process that'll allow me to make finished pieces, even if those so-called finished pieces are just quote-unquote just copies of other people's work. And then from there I can go like, what is it that I like about this, and what is it that I don't like about it, and then take creative decisions, mishmash from there. And these legs are kicking my ass, but that's okay. It's horrible, but I also don't like these timed exercises because the time limit stresses me out. I'm not gonna lie. Look like, oh, gotta work fast, gotta work fast. Because you're supposed to do a complete silhouette in this time, and it's not gonna be good. And then, should it be good and incomplete, or should it be complete but like not very good? Again, I can't necessarily say that I'm seeing the improvement that I was promised, but then again, maybe I just now the foot is completely wrong. Oh yeah. That. Well, I don't think with like the width is correct, but it's just something off about that leg. It's the classic. They kind of fit individually, but they don't fit together. Like, it's not necessarily wrong, but it's just like, no, it's just too narrow. Like, okay. Wider thigh. Okay. But it's still off because that angle is off. But, you know, keep on trucking, I guess. And I'm bitching and I'm moaning and I'm complaining because why? Because art is hard. Say the line, Ina. Kind of goes up like that. I think that's where the shoulder starts. Kinda, almost. Almost had it. Almost had it. Yeah. Kind of tempted to just ditch this whole silhouette thing and just, instead of drawing the silhouette, just do a 20-minute figure drawing. Basically. Oh, kind of nailed the head, if nothing else. It is, but it's in the wrong place. Again, it's the horizontal proportions. But I finished it. I just didn't. But then again, an argument could be made that if you're struggling with something, like that is something that you need to work on. Read good, readable silhouettes. So, review time. Slide you over here, turn up Mr. Grid. All right. So, where's mine? There we go. Yeah, I definitely think that the curved lines are better for 3. Gives a better idea of that 3D feel as the ellipses pivot around in 3D space. So maybe one straight and one and more curves. Yeah. Shape language. Yeah. That's if I remember correctly, you were like more of a paintery kind of artist. Like you're not necessarily draftsman in terms of just lines, but more shape. I do know that when it comes to painting and stuff, like shape design, big, medium, small, and variety, and visually interesting shapes is important. There's a YouTuber, Sphinx Design. He has a lot of that. He won't stop yapping about shape design, so yeah, so okay. Try straight plus curve. That seemed to help. Right. Slow down and ghost. Yeah. Yeah. Plus ghost. I'll just keep that at. Yeah. Stacking boxes. Focus on proportion. It's hard to get proportion right when you're on a time limit. And this one, it was kind of not necessarily proportion, but placement. Yes. And placement. Try to identify the weaknesses so that we can tackle them. All right. It's tough to, like, I don't like this exercise because on one hand, because it says you're supposed to push the pose and change it a little bit, but then it automatically deviates from the reference, so then you kind of go like, well, how am I supposed to course correct from this? Like, how am I supposed to identify any mistakes or any weaknesses from this? I'm confused. Like, arguably, it's a little bit, maybe it's off balance, but I don't know. Head is not necessarily too big. Well, it is big if it's too big. Like if you go like, yeah, it should have been a bald head, but and the arms are not necessarily wrong either. They're just bent in a different position. Change the legs. Okay, did I change the legs or did I make a mistake with the legs? I don't know. Feet proportions? And again, it's the width. Like it's getting better. So I am getting better, if that's any comfort, but yeah. Let's see. So now, today is 27th. Save that and close that, and now we can go back to the main dish of the stream. Just this absolute nightmare fuel of staircase perspective shot. I did some practice yesterday with stairs and breaking them. Let's see. Where is there's my thumbnail. I go like, yeah, that doesn't necessarily look very particularly impressive, but I did do a whole bunch of like I did a whole perspective breakdown, technical doodly dad with vanishing points and the whole 9 yards. I think I have. Yeah, that's some guide rules to help me. get things aligned with the perspective and whatnot, but so yeah, did a whole bunch of stuff like that, but that was just a basic perspective thing. And now, so the idea is basically we're gonna have, I think we can just throw these two in the trash, basically. We don't need them. So the idea is that our protagonist is gonna be running up a stairway. And we're gonna be following along a tutorial / breakdown from Framed Perspective, Volume 1. Open up your textbooks, class, or chat. Alright. So, I'm gonna take away the thumbnail and... Okay, this panel, this is just gonna be a full page blow. That's not what I wanted. That's not the tool that I wanted. I need to go on a mask. Here we are. So we're kind of just, you know what? We're just gonna put this right up to the cut, because this is gonna be a full page thing. This is gonna be one of the money shots, as it were. Yeah. Yeah. Alright, and then we can turn off the speech bubble. And now we can go to the sketch. Righto, so whew. Okay. We're gonna need a line. We're gonna need a couple of lines. A couple of lines for the sort of like central vanishing point. But the vanishing points are gonna be, are they gonna be inside the picture plane? Or are they gonna be... It's gonna be a lot of me banging my head against the literal textbook with some weird perspective diagrams splattered all over it. Okay, and then we're going to need, we can just do a box. Is that just a square? No, it's going to be a square. I think it needs to be smaller. Right. Okay, cool. Right, and from there, vanishing points right there. Okay. Yeah, all runs in a staircase are essentially inclined planes. Okay, so I just pick an arbitrary wait, what? I'm missing some lines here. Okay, so we have that. Cross two horizontal lines. Yeah, vanishing point. Then draw lines from that vanishing point through the four corners. Four corners of the edge drawn serves indicating four vertical corners. What do? Okay. So from here. Right. Okay, okay. But how does he... Okay, and then... picks an angle. Kind of like that. Okay. Oh, booby pins. Yeah. Okay, so there's my angle. Because the width is a staircase. Okay, so we're just gonna go with some. We're just gonna go with some vibes. It's gonna be a vibe drawing some stairs width here. Okay, cool. Let's try that. And just kind of pick the same width, more or less. Like that. Okay. Maybe that should be a bit. Alright. And from there, we have another and it goes back there. So that is the width. And where that one intersects. Right. Kind of like lowering that one. Wait, what? All right. Now then. Where this one intersect. We have that. And then something like that. Oh boy. This is gonna be pretty freaking complicated. Alright, cool. And then kind of just goes out like that. But how the heck do you find that angle? Okay. No, wait a minute. It doesn't. does, but like, how does he? All right. From so it needs to be a bit off. Probably needs to be a square. Turn it into a square and put it a little bit off. Probably needs to be bigger. Alright, something like that. Okay. Because then we can draw because now we can draw a line like that. Right, okay. I can see the vision. That's just really cooking my brain, but that's okay. And then we can pick a right, that is like that line. Where am I? There it is. Well, it needs to be maybe not that much bigger. It's going to need to be. Oh, don't do that on the sketch layer. Do it on a separate layer, of course. Come on, come on. It needs to be bigger than that one, yeah. And no, it's the bottom corner that needs to be. Right. And then we have here are some vanishing points like boom boom. No. That's not how that works. Because, yeah, okay. So this one has to go through that corner? Yeah, that one has to go through that corner. And that one has to go through that corner. And then where those two lines intersect, that's our boy right there. Ooh, I think. Right. And this is melting my brain. This staircase. I'm building a staircase, chat, but it kind of makes sense. He says, he has no freaking idea what the heck he's doing. But okay, so that is the final. According to my thumbnail, kind of like, how much did I have in mind? Like, oh. Yeah. Okay. So, granted, this was just me brainstorming, but yeah, okay. But let's see if we can, because one thing is to follow the tutorial, but another thing is to take the thing that the tutorial teaches you and apply it to something that you want to make. And if I want to make this puppy sucker here, with like the staircase, like this is the final topmost landing, second top landing, third top landing, fourth top landing, which is kind of like similar to the staircase that I did, because the way that he does the landings here is go like it's just one corner, but I don't want it to be in a corner. I kind of want it to be extended, like not a square but a rectangle, an elongated landing. So how do we do that then? Because then you need a, I don't, does he, well, he, do you do that by having a rectangle? Because he starts with a square. Does he get that? Do we get that with a rectangle in? Because I know I started with a square and I ended up with square platforms, right? Or the platform being, put it underneath the sketch. Oh. The platform being here, or the landings rather here, and then an unfinished one over here, and another one over here, something like that. Right. And then you would probably have another one underneath here, but I don't know this. That wouldn't be visible. Okay, let's try it again. Take everything that we made and throw it into the trash, because that's how we roll. Okay, we're probably gonna need let's do the smaller brush. And okay, well, we're going to need let's just. I think that's roughly speaking center. No, it's not. But whatevs. Okay, so if we then do a triangle, and it needs to be a little bit off from the center, but like, what direction is it going to? All right. We just do. Okay. So there's our right, and then we need from the central vanishing point. We need some straight lines that goes from the central point through, like such. Wow. Life becomes much better with sound effects. Said it before, and I will say it again. There we go. Well, there we go. Okay, so we can then collapse those and turn on there. Okay, so that's... And now we kind of just pick an arbitrary width. But that is sort of like, I'm not sure if it matters which part you kind of start with. Because again, if we're going to go with a general composition thumbnail thing here, we could go with a width like that, right? And or maybe even smaller, narrower, narrower. That's it. Something like that, and then it would go all the way up to there. Like that is... And if we're gonna go with this... like where do you... Okay, so the width... Oh, that kind of that kind of tracks, because like where it intersects is there, and then there's a decent width. Okay, I think. Right. Or hang on. This does not match up with the... Granted, my thumbnail sketch is just absolutely bonkers, but there is still some rhyme or reason to it. Like, it's not accurate, but there's still some rhyme and reason to it. And now it's not making any gosh darn sense, because the I think that would be my central vanishing point, right? And then I would have a rectangle of sorts. Something like this. And from here, we have something that aligns. Kind of, almost, but like, can like not necessarily get too overly invested in the okay. And then from the inside, then you pick an angle from one corner towards the vanishing point. Okay, so that's one. And then you, from that same corner, you pick an arbitrary width. Okay. And from that arbitrary width, you pull towards the same vanishing point. alternatively, the vanishing point is just not as, because then what? Why does that line disappear when I collapse it down? Oh. There we go. Yeah. Thanks for stopping by. Give Boons my best. That's the incline of the steps. Okay. Da, 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 da. Because if it, right. Because if I want these to be roughly speaking, then I can't have them. Yeah, but I can't do that because it starts off from there and then goes out. Starts from this corner and goes out. And from this corner and in like that. I don't know, from that corner and in like that. And then that is going to be the stairway. But like if I wanted to intersect, okay, so I think I need, the big challenge is basically to find out where to sort of, from this rough sketch, where is the vanishing, like where is the central vanishing point and where is the where do I put that what kind of a box do I put and where do I put it? I suspect it's a rectangle. Well, what kind of a rectangle and where do I put it? Gonna be a heck of a lot of trial and error. But hey, central vanishing point. Central vanishing point. Closing it on something over there, but not here. Okay. And then we have a straight line. Wrong color. We have a straight line which goes, okay, like it's a little bit off, but then it's fine. Landing. And then landing. Okay, okay. I think I get it. Spoilers, he did not get it, but can we can probably undo. If we move this so that it aligns with this one. Because at least if I get this first plateau, top platform in place, I can always just I guess I can begrudgingly accept that the other things will kind of just fall in place. Begrudgingly accept it. Trying to get this. Saved it. Might just be easier if I just don't collapse the layers. But okay, what if we just do this crazy move like that? And this time we're not gonna do the stupid thing of keep. Collapse things later. here we have 1. And that one goes like such. And from this corner, it goes all the way up to there. And from here, we get something like that. Again, from that, like, what if we do something like that? Like, it gets wider, but it could also work. Yeah, because I'm trying to kind of... like... there isn't... I suppose... Okay. Wait. If we do this. Okay. And again, I might be overly invested into my initial thumbnail, but hey, what can I say? I like it. Yeah, that is pretty close to that angle that I wanted. Okay, cool. And now this one. Like, those are, again, they're definitely converging somewhere. But of course, the vanishing point. They're converging somewhere. But of course, this one. It's not the correct vanishing point, but does it really matter? If the vanishing point is... like, obviously this line is going to converge into... it's going to hit that one eventually, but this one is already hitting it there. Like, again, I suppose we could just, you know... again, just... those are definitely converging somewhere with that line. As long as they're converging, I guess it's okay. We're gonna play it like that. Okay. So that's those two lines. And now the interesting part is, like, now I need a line for this one, and I also need a line over here, but I also need a landing. How does that work? Now I need a landing sticking out from this corner, going all the way out here, and this one goes towards this corner, and this one going towards, no, that's, and again, if we're gonna adhere to perspective, right? And then where? Wait a minute. No, I think I suspect that I'm breaking something here. Okay, let's just. Okay, let's. What's this? Let's just. You know what? Screw it. Let's just cut our losses and let's get not too overly invested in our initial sketch, right? Because we need this one to go all the way up there, right? And we have this one to go all the way up there. And we have that one all the way up there. Right, but even if that is the plateau, like that is the sort of angle that it's going up, it still needs, right. So this is, let's just call this VPA. Right, and these are, what the heck are those? Draw lines under that. From that vantage point through the four corners of the drawing. I don't know. Central the vanishing point. Frame. Let's just call it frame. Okay. That is A. That is B. And this is C. So all right. Here's A. Right. And where this one intersects is where we're going, which will be here. Okay. Which means that we will have a landing here. doesn't... Is it because, again, like, is it because it's a rectangle that it gets so distorted? Because again, I thought you would just like extrude it out. But that sort of demands that like this one sort of ends up there. But that doesn't make any sense. But I suppose they can overlap the center. Oh, that's kind of the point. They do overlap the... But not the... but like only... Not the plateaus. Or the oh yeah, the plateaus do. Huh? What? The platforms do overlap. Yeah, but like it's still... Okay, I might be ahead of myself here. Okay. So now I have the bottom line. And how do I find that top line then? Again, arbitrary. Because from this corner, I essentially just pick this corner, and from right, and from there I'm supposed to just go up an arbitrary length, and then sort of like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna connect these, and there's my platform. But then the stairs start right away. And I don't want the stairs to start right away. I want the stairs to sort of like... So, how do you... reconcile that? I suppose you just extend this line out here. And then from there you find your angle. From there you find your angle down there, which is practically the same, and I just go like, all right, I want to go out, I don't know, that wide, and then you kind of go like, all right, yeah, we're gonna go down there, like there, and then goodness, this is such a mess. Okay. New plan. Let's just do a square. I'm not entirely convinced that this will solve the problem, but okay, like I want the corner to start over there. Let's see if we can make this work then. So stupid. Alright. And then from that corner, from the center vanishing point, through the corners. Okay. Black this. Oh, again. From here we find the angle. And then we pull out, and then we find another. Alright, but then where this one sort of intersects, now it becomes incredibly shallow. Right. But the thing is, I kind of... Probably gonna spend all week on this one page. And I'm kind of... Could be that... It could also be that my entire... Like, it could be just... This is the problem, like the placement of the cross itself is a problem, like, because I honestly don't know where to place it. Which is, yeah. Quite the problem. And also, where do you put, like, that's one thing, but also where do you put the sort of like the red box? Because again, like if it wants to go off from one of the corners, then I'm kind of inclined to put it like that. But also this, but that also sort of means that this needs to be here somewhere. Yeah, because like if I wanted to start out from here, because it does start from out there and then it goes down to that one. Okay. Once more with feeling, I guess. Okay. So you have an arbitrary length. Okay. And let's just go to the edge of the page. Kind of, okay, now it aligns quite nicely with this one. It does not, still too sharp for my liking, but whatever. And we have that one there. So those are the stairs here. And then we got to do the landing. But the problem is we don't want to do because this one kind of just goes straight over. Right. This one kind of just goes straight over to this one. Because the landing is right, something like that, right? And then the landing would just go apparently an arbitrary distance up and then just wrap around. Or does that one also get distorted by? Yeah, because like I can get that it would get distorted because like it would be at an angle because like it's a plane that goes down, but here it is not. Like it just continues out like that. Let's see where this takes us. Okay, so from here, it's going to vanish towards that. And it needs to go out an arbitrary length or width. And that intersects with that one. And where that one intersects with that, we get our second landing, which low-key overlaps a little bit with, which low-key overlaps a little bit with that one. Which, yay, I guess. Right. But then again, how do I? I'm really tempted to just model this stuff out in Blender and then just pop it in. Because again, yeah, the point is again, like, I don't necessarily have a lot. I don't have a reference. I don't even like. Yeah, like I do have a very, very, very rough sketch, but like it doesn't. Again, I suppose trust the process and whatnot, but it doesn't look convincing. And sure, like he just makes it a square and then like pivots from the corner. But maybe but since I want it to be rectangular, okay, let's just throw things out into the trash again. And let's try another rectangle, but instead of having it a rectangle this way, how about we have it a rectangle this way? I don't think that is going to solve any of our problems, but hey, here we are. No, I don't think so. But I'm kind of curious. Call it a morbid curiosity and experimenting and just throwing anything that sticks. Kind of aligning it with whatever. Again, I seriously doubt that this is going to do much. Guess okay. Oop. There we go. And again, arbitrary length. There we go. Oh no, that is absolutely horrible. That is that is way too short from what I had envisioned. Oh, that's not working. That's not working at all. Right. And then from this one, what if you just because you're supposed to like all of this is like so right, so and then you know from there it kind of just goes okay, it goes from there to there, and then you just put some sort of, I don't know, arbitrary width on that sucker. Alright. And where these suckers intersect, we need a fourth one. Alright. We get another one like that. Alright. And this one doesn't necessarily matter because this, again, this one goes back down again. Yeah, because there's no stairgate going down this way. It's technically speaking, it's only like it's only two vanishing points. I don't need I don't need, because like this one, because he has one in each corner, but since I elongate mine, I don't need that. I only need a top and bottom vanishing. Interesting. But I'm not allowed, but like what I'm drawing off canvas is not visible. So So basically what I need is just this, because I don't need I suppose we could just zoom out as much as possible and then just, like, granted I can't see it, but cheat it like that. I don't know. I think I already tried this, but Yeah, but I suspect you still need a central vanishing point. Yeah. Never mind. Or you can leave it like that, and we can. I think that's where the freaking vanishing point is. I don't know. And I guess it's that not knowing which is really screwing me up over the rest. Because you have a shoddy foundation, son. Alright, cool. Black. Alright, cool. So I don't know how many times we're going to go through this. Alright. Like it needs to. Alright, what if I. Alright. What if we just make it a really big, fat rectangle? Right? And then offset it. Just really go to town with this sucker. I'm not sure if that's gonna help anything, but it would be kind of low-key funny if that is the solution. Like, oh yeah, let's just... That was the solution all along. The friends we made along the way. Okay. Well, probably not, because again, well, because that's the top. No, that's a... Well, you know what? Screw it. Oh, pooey pants. Alright, because I want you to this is way above my pay grade. But okay, let's just try something hilarious here. Okay, cool. Right, and yeah, sure, why not? We can do that and just go like that. And there's just And then we go for an arbitrary height. Right? According to what looks good, according to the reference. But like, it would be like that. And then it would be like that. And there's your plateau. Which doesn't make much sense, but okay. And then it's from like the topmost corner down to here. And then from the other corner down there. Frickin'. Like, why? Why should it be so frickin' hard? I'm kind of guessing like this width should be the same as this one. Okay, well, it's roughly the same. Okay, which is something. Which means we can put it like that. And then, again, I would assume from this corner down to that, here, down to there, and where this intersects, we have our second plateau. And from here, we go down here. And this is one big bundle of mess, but like here is that is sort of our exit plateau, which means that this one Mm. 85 gigabytes? Are you kidding me? No, whatever. I find it hard to believe that this basic image file, whatever, I'm not gonna question it. Right. Which basically means that this is also the platform for this one, and it goes all the way up to there, roughly speaking. Like that. Yeah? Yeah. But that platform, technically speaking, goes all the way to here. And from there, it goes... Oh, you don't... Okay, we don't get to see that one. Cool. It just disappears underneath. Which kind of diminishes... I suppose... Drawing through forms... because it might... Oh, frickin' hell. Because it might... There's your vanishing point. And where this line goes out to the wall. That's the landing. That one goes all the way up to the wall. This one goes all the way up. All right, because of the way that the perspective is set up, like you lose that, which seems to me to indicate that headset lady just scared the big crap out of me to inform them the batteries on my headset are low. That's okay. I just appreciate a random jump scare. Okay. Oh my goodness. My brain is cooked. But I want to fix it. I don't necessarily have any big ambitions that this is going to be fixed in a day. This is a tough cookie. But I would like to know... I would like to try and get it done correctly perspective-wise. Otherwise, of course, you can also just... Obviously, you can also just put in Blender, model this out in Blender, and then just find the correct find an interesting camera angle, and then just trace over it. And that is low-key very tempting. But I also want to try and figure this thing out. But because again, I'm just trying to demystify the logic here. Because if I want to see, because like you see a lot of that side. Because his is leaning this way, but it's also which allows him to show a lot of that side, because yeah, but he also puts it a lot more. Yeah, okay. Well, headset lady is probably going to be yapping in my ear a lot. So, plus my brain is pretty cooked. So we're gonna have to try and take another stab at this. I kind of refuse to believe that this one illustration here is 85.7 gigabytes. No way. Let me close that and just see if I reopen it. Or maybe yeah, now it suddenly shrinks down to 600. Yeah, that's much more manageable. 700 megabytes, or 675. Okay, cool. Right. So, with all that said, we're just gonna have to wrestle with this sucker again tomorrow. And yeah. Until then, keep drawing, keep having fun, and I'll see you soon. Okay? Bye bye.